So welcome to Inside America's Minds for another exciting episode. Today I have with me Anthony and Staci Lo Cascio. Did I pronounce that right, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, are you guys in New York?
We are in New
Yeah.
York. We're in
Yeah.
Queens, New York.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. So Anthony and Staci, you're internationally renowned tap dancers with Tap Life Company in New York. You are the founders of LOCA Foods, and we're going to get into that as well. Anthony, like you just said, you're a native New Yorker. You've been a dance teacher for over 25 years. There's also involvement with the Broadway Dance Studio. You're the artistic director for the Tap Life Company. Am I doing okay so far?
Yes, I think you talk about Broadway Dance Center in New York City, which is a famous dance studio that exists out there. I've gotten to teach there and steps in some place in New York, in Manhattan.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you were the first American to get a standing role in the international hit show Tap Dogs. What year was that?
97? That was 97. I'm number 34 on a list of only 84 people who exist in the world.
Oh my gosh.
To do that show.
To do that show. Now,
Yeah.
was that on Broadway or where did that take place?
No, that was off Broadway at the now defunct Union Square Theater, which is right down in Union Square.
Wow. I love the New York accent. Okay.
What New York accent?
I gotta say. So you were also opening the act for Natalie Cole, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, one of my all-time favorite groups.
Yeah.
Okay. Guest appearances on the Regis and Kathy Show, Good Day New York, MTV, and more. Over 20 years on the convention circuit as a competition judge. Staci, you're originally from Kansas City.
I am.
Okay, which state?
Kansas.
Kansas City, Kansas.
Yep.
How do you like New York?
Oh, I left home when I was 18.
Okay.
I toured for about 4 or 5 years, and then I moved to Chicago. And I lived there for about 14 years, and then I moved to New York.
Wonderful. And you are the company manager for Tap Life Company. You've toured internationally with Sesame Street Live. What was that like?
It was amazing. It was really my college years. I left the day after high school graduation to do a regional theater show in Pennsylvania. I did a show called 42nd Street, which is like one of my favorites because it's got a lot of tap dancing in it. And then while I was there, I had just auditioned for Sesame Street the previous February, and they called me and I was home for like 2 weeks. And then I went on tour for 10 months when I was 18. It was great.
And you haven't stopped since.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I basically came out of the womb dancing, and I've never really done anything else. A few things here and there, but that's my life.
So you've trained extensively with numerous teachers in New York, Chicago, like you said, over 25 years yourself of teaching experience in the dance studio. You look like you're 10. Okay.
Well, we had a teacher training program at my dance studio when I was growing up. So I started in that program when I was 14.
But here you are, these well-known professional tap dancers, and then you merge your dancing careers with health lifestyle changes through nutrition and subsequently evolving into these notably published book authors as well, which we're going to get to, that you made the shift toward a better healthy lifestyle because of health issues that ultimately were jeopardizing your overall well-being and careers. So I want to ask, what were the health issues? Did they involve both of you? And are you comfortable talking about it?
Yeah, of course we're comfortable. Yeah. That's
okay.
It's what we've been doing now.
Okay.
I mean, would you like to talk about what happened to you first?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I say you first because she was on her journey when we met, and it was because of how deep she was into her journey that she was able to help me, which ultimately led us to wanting to really be able to help so many other people. So that's why I think that it makes sense that if she tells you about her story first.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I say I came out of the womb dancing. I also came out of the womb in a highly reactive state. When I was first fed formula, I broke out in hives and was diagnosed with mast cell disorder.
What is that? I'm not familiar with
I
it.
had excess histamine in my body,
Okay.
and it reacted to the milk protein and gave me hives. Basically, it's an autoimmune reaction.
Okay.
It's just basically your body attacking a vulnerable part of itself because it was attacking this foreign invader, and at the same time, it attacked your body and not just
Okay.
the foreign invader. So that's basically what an autoimmune disorder is. Well, most of the time when you're a baby or young and you have an autoimmune issue, it tends to go dormant. You grow out of it, quote unquote. It's still there, it's in your DNA, it's in your, but it's not in the forefront. I did always have issues with dairy, but usually it was like excessive dairy. Like if I had dairy for breakfast, dairy for lunch, dairy for dinner, and then tried to have dairy for dessert as well, then I usually had a problem. It was here and there, it wasn't usually always an issue. But I feel like I always had dietary things happening to me my whole life. My mom and my grandma loved to hop on every new trend, like margarine versus butter, slim fast, you name it, they tried it, and so did I.
Highly marketable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as women, I think we're brought up to, oh, what's the newest diet trend? Okay, I got to try that. Oh, what's the newest fad? Okay, I got to try that. Because there are very few of us who naturally get it figured out, right? So we're always doing something to be healthier, or what we're told is healthier, even though it's really ultimately not. So it was dormant for many years. And then I got a bacteria in my throat after being on vacation. And I was prescribed an antibiotic that later in my research, I found out was known to bring out dormant autoimmune disorders.
So it's like many other autoimmune disorders, or even any other genetic predisposition. Something in the environment at a certain stage is a trigger, and then
Right.
what was dormant becomes very active.
Yes.
So,
And in my case, I really do believe it was the antibiotic, just based on my personal research. I can't prove it.
Well,
but
it's
that's
part of the side
what
effects.
I
It's listed as
feel.
a side effect.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's a list of antibiotics that are known to bring out dormant autoimmune disorders.
okay.
And anyone can do their own research and find them out.
So what was the symptomology? What were the manifestations that once this happened? That's pretty scary.
So I was getting sores in my mucosal membranes,
In
like
your mouth?
like canker-like sores. And really,
Ear canal.
if you
Oh my
think
God.
about it, anywhere where there's a mucosal membrane.
So ear, nose, throat, and other areas of the body,
Correct.
even genitalia.
Correct.
Oh wow.
So of course I was misdiagnosed with, and I was married previously at the time, and I knew that wasn't the case. So when they tested me for it and it came back negative, I was like, told you.
Okay.
And that led me to, I went to Planned Parenthood because I didn't know, right?
Sure.
And then they did all kinds of tests, and she came to me and she said, we don't know how to help you. You need to see a rheumatologist. So I found a rheumatologist. Thankfully, she was not from this country. So she was the first one she tested me, and she put me on regular Western medications. However, she did say to me, you should try the blood type diet. So that was my first real foray, I think, into, changing my diet in order to affect the exact health thing that was happening to me at the moment, not just weight loss, or not just, a specific allergy or something like that. Like it was really the first time I had been introduced to that
Just
idea.
two options. And I would imagine that what you were experiencing affected your mobility and dance and just everyday
It
activities
did.
of life.
I was doing lots of theater,
Okay.
and I got to the point where I was using liquid magnesium on a cotton ball, and I would rub it on my joints because it was
Oh,
so
wow.
painful. In doing my own research, I am a research fiend, I
Okay.
guess you could say. I like to know things for myself, and I like to read them
Okay.
and understand them for myself through what I'm reading. I'll take people's advice and I'll take what they say that they learned from research, but then typically I'll go and research it myself. Just,
Okay.
it tends to land better, it tends to stick better. I remember it better that way. I learned about diagnoses for autoimmune disorders and how some have definitive tests and others don't. They just have a list of symptoms that if you check them off, you get diagnosed with them, whether you may have them or not. If you have one, you probably have multiple. After that, so I was diagnosed with lupus and C. onca vasculitis, which is
Okay.
small vessel vasculitis. So
Right.
all of the small blood vessels that affect your organs were getting inflamed, basically. That's how my body was attacking itself.
So, how about
yeah.
Anthony? What health conditions did you have? I mean, that's a lot for Staci to handle.
Yeah. So I had just left New York. We just finished the show in the city. We went to LA. We were out there for a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks into it. I woke up, pain in my abdomen, and had a bowel movement that was very, very upsetting, to say the
Okay.
least. It was very loose, and there was a lot of blood.
Oh, wow. Not good.
No, I
Not
was
good.
26, just signed a big contract away from
You
my
were
family.
26 years old at the
Yeah,
time.
I was 26 at
Okay.
the time. Just signed this big contract, and then the whole experience spanned 20 years before I actually found food was going to help me, because I went to doctors. They don't know what's wrong. We don't know why you're bleeding.
Still never a diagnosis, though.
Still never a
No
diagnosis.
ulcerative colitis.
Well,
or
that's what
anything
we
like
that's
that?
what we think it is between Staci, myself, and my
Okay.
nutritionist. But I've never actually have that diagnosed.
Or
But
what
I'm
about
more- I'm
irritable
more-
bowel syndrome? Did
Well,
that?
I'm more interested in solutions than I am in naming what's going on. Like, so
Okay.
finding the solution was really what made me happy and stopped my
Okay.
search for a diagnosis.
Yeah.
But it was blood, pain in my abdomen, and I gained a lot of weight. And I didn't look like I was fat. I looked like I was swollen. I looked like I was stung by a bee and I blew up. So
Oh,
when
wow.
that started happening, and that happened later in the process, when that started happening, it became tougher to dance, and you don't look good on screen, right? And I also have stuff that happens to my skin. Sometimes, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but sometimes my skin behaves poorly because of something I've eaten, typically like soy,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
So you said something in a Fox News interview. I believe it was you, Anthony, who said to find success, you may have to go through a lot of failures. Don't let these define you. With regards to lifestyle changes, quote unquote, Anthony, it's not about what happens to you, it's how you react and deal with what happens to you that can set you up for success or failure. And we're going to get into your lifestyle and your book and your upcoming book. But in this interview and in your book, you talk about lifestyle dietary changes, cheat day, step back day, the myths. It's a common misconception that gluten-free, dairy-free, corn-free, or soy-free food isn't going to taste good. So I want to hand it over to you at that point.
That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, well, break it down for the audience.
You said something earlier, and it was really important to me about me being Italian. That means I grew up in the kitchen. I grew up around a lot of really good food.
Right.
And there was one thing when I decided that I was going to eat this way that was a constant for me was it's going to be delicious. If it's not delicious, we're going to have a problem. And we just made things delicious. Another thing is related to that conversation is so many people concentrate, I can't eat this, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. Everything that I love has been taken away from me. That's the feast of the fears, right? And especially if you're Italian and you think you can't have pasta anymore, or if you have some sort of Mexican descent, you can't have corn anymore. So, there's a lot of things that happen with the mindset here. First thing I remind a lot of people, we remind a lot of people, is don't concentrate on what you cannot eat, concentrate on what you can eat.
Okay.
And, in the book, one of the first things that we both do is we list everything that we can eat, because we tell you what we can eat, but we also want to tell you what we can eat. So when you find out what you can't eat, don't focus on that. Focus on the things that are on the list that you can. That becomes your new grocery list.
So, and this is a great introduction until the first book, first book.
Yeah.
So give us the name, and I kind of went a little off. Yeah, I have the name of it here, but tell us about that book. And that's available also on Amazon. But it was everything that the both of you experienced, which led you as, again, tap dancers, well-known, into the field of good nutrition, of healthy nutrition.
Yeah.
So the name of the book
is Food as a Prescription.
Right.
And it's just a collection of all our favorite tips and tricks and our own stories and some of our failures and
how
what
we
help us
learned
be successful.
How we learned really to make food our prescription. That's how we kind of came upon that title. Was we realized that was what it was. We were using food as our prescriptions.
Right.
We would turn to certain foods. We eliminated a lot of inflammatory foods. So that's basically, we don't need anti-inflammatories or things like that. We just changed our food. So now that became our prescription.
A nutrition book, and yet you talk about success and failures, not giving up. You have to go through the mindset. Good. And especially with nutrition and even diets, there's such a high rate of turnover, but failure. Yeah. But you focus on the success. So talk about that.
Yeah. You said some of the things before. Even my father said it earlier today. I offered him some chips and he said, "Are they healthy? Like the way you eat healthy?" I'm like, "Dad, it's not that I necessarily eat healthy. I'm just very aware of what I eat. And I know there's certain ingredients that my body doesn't like. So I've eliminated them from my diet. I'm not on a diet that's coming to an end, which starts a cyclical problem of losing weight, gaining weight, changing the thing, fixing the thing, letting it break again. It's my diet. It's my everyday diet."
Yeah.
When you start looking at it like with this different frame of mind, you start having a different relationship to it. And when you have a different relationship to it, you learn things about yourself. When you learn things about yourself,
say that again, Anthony,
you become empowered.
Say that again.
You want me to say that again? I don't know if I
can. I know. I ask a lot of questions and I have people repeat themselves.
Everyone rewind it and play it again.
It's because the relationship we have with food is critical to our well-being, not only physically, but even psychologically and emotionally. So what the both of you are saying is to switch up from the traditional trends of dieting. Don't focus in on what you shouldn't eat or what you can eat, but on what you can.
We talk about, if you eat a certain food and it makes you feel poorly, why would you want to eat that food? No matter whether it gives you temporary joy or not, it's not about the joy. It's about how it makes you feel and about what it does to your body from the inside out. And I personally don't want to feel like I feel when I eat certain foods. So that was sort of the mindset that I had to get into. I had to start looking at those particular foods as poison for my body because they're tempting. I wanted them, and I wanted them a lot.
Give us examples of what it was that you wanted.
A cheeseburger with real bread and real cheese and pickles that have crazy dyes in them, and just, the food in America, I mean, let's be honest, is not the best. It's really not. And I just saw a post on Facebook, maybe today, maybe yesterday, about the foods, how they're packaged and the ingredients in the United States versus how they're packaged and the ingredients in Europe or
Mhm.
other countries. And other countries don't allow high fructose corn syrup. Other countries don't allow really crappy dye or artificial dyes in their foods. They just don't. It's a law, and they prevent them from getting into their population.
If people want to start on the journey to a better way of eating and health, how do they start? And you talk about healing yourselves, giving yourself grace, giving yourself forgiveness. So how do they start?
You could start with just one thing at a time. I mean,
Okay.
my journey really, before I met Stacy, my journey kind of started a little bit. I was prescribed a lot of medications. I was diagnosed bipolar ADHD at one point,
Okay.
and I had a lot of medication. I was on like this. They felt like I had the super medications all the time. And at one point, I was done. I had quit smoking cigarettes, and
Okay.
I was like, the medications are hurting me more than I feel like they're helping me at this point. They have to go.
Anthony, talk a little bit more about the bipolar disorder. What foods, what if you can recall what triggered either the depression or the mania and
Well, I got, if there's any one culprit, or the first thing that I discovered was high fructose corn syrup. And it was amazing to me when I just started reading things, how many items have high fructose corn syrup. So in a day, you don't really know how much of it you're consuming. And I realized that once I started reading and taking that one thing out of my diet, that I noticed a difference in myself. And it was the first time that I realized that changing my food could drastically change my life and my everyday experience. So I took that out and saw a difference in myself, and it helped me. It helped me drastically.
so when was the moment that the two of you looked at each other, that snapshot in time, and said, oh my gosh, this is what we've been through. This is what changes we have made that we know have been beneficial. We need to write a book. We need to tell other people about it. We need to help other people. When do you remember, Stacy, when
Well,
that happened?
Yeah, we had been seeing a lot of people on Facebook in different groups. We were in a lot of like gluten-free or autoimmune groups or different things like that on Facebook. And almost every day there was multiple posts from multiple different walks of life of people posting about themselves, a relative, a friend, how they were diagnosed with maybe celiac, or told that dairy was an allergy for them, or soy or corn. And we found ourselves just writing the same response all the time.
Okay.
And then we kind of, when it came time for one of those, I don't know how many we were in a lot at that point.
I bet, yeah.
And finally we just kind of went, we need to write a book about this, because you can't hardly address every single thing that needs to be addressed in a Facebook comment.
Yeah,
You
and
just
honestly,
can't.
and that was, it's a little different for me too, because for years people suggested that I should write a book about something pertaining to my life and things like that. And I'll tell you, when Stacy and I first got together, I watched from an insider's perspective what her experiences were like between her and the rest of society, with her dealing with change, with her dietary issues, and other people not understanding, like going out to dinner and stuff like that. So I started to develop these little things to help. Being a dance teacher, I just want to help and love and care and share what's in here with other people, right? So eventually I made her like a business card with her food allergies and stuff on it that she could just hand to people when she went out. And I think realizing that we could put a collection together of thoughts and ideas into like a handbook thing just became, it just kind of grew, like this energy grew, like we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. And then before I knew it, we did it.
And I have to say at this point, as a couple, because I'm watching you, that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
And you are very connected, you're very bonded, you're on the same page. When and where did you meet?
We met through dancing.
Okay.
But we met really in a group on Facebook that's for dance teachers. And that was our first interaction. And then we decided the founder of that group decided that she wanted to get people together in person. So we
I
met.
wanted to get people together in person, and I
That was-
suggested it to her.
Well, okay, there you
How
go.
long ago? How long? And you're both blushing. I love it. How long ago was that?
2014.
2014.
So, Staci, when you first met Anthony in the flesh,
Yeah.
what did you think? What did you feel? You look at this guy. You've been
Um,
communicating on Facebook.
I thought that New York was sending me a message that I needed to be there. That's what I thought.
And
Okay.
it came to her in the form of
Yeah.
this native New York Italian with this accent all up in with this face.
Anthony, when you first set eyes on Staci, right there in the flesh, what did you think? What did you feel?
You know, she knows exactly what I'm going to say. I don't remember. I don't know.
No.
I don't remember. I remember nothing. I have a very difficult memory. I do remember that.
He remembers big pictures.
I do remember that her and I danced together that weekend and worked on some of my material.
Yeah.
I do remember that we purposely wanted to see each other and spend time hanging out with each other. And I do remember we had a conversation in a car. Is that right? Yeah. And we had a conversation in a car. I remember those things.
So what about the attraction though? I mean, there's the intellectual, the emotional, the physical. When did, the light bulb go off and you guys are like, yeah,
Life
I
experience.
like him, I like her. Huh?
Life experience is a big deal to me. And I got to experience a lot of life in a short period of time.
Okay.
Which affected the rest of my life and will affect my life moving forward, which I have a lot of appreciation for. I've had a whole career and lifetime, and I'm about to step in a whole different career and lifetime. And who knows what will happen before it's all said and done. And I completely forgot my point.
No, that's okay.
You were going to say I had also similar life experience.
Oh, yes. So the life experience thing, like she was on tour before, you don't get a lot of straight white male tap dancers that are like Roman airs. And, so there's a lot of people who don't understand me or can't relate to me and don't get it. She's a tap dancer. She's a very good tap dancer. She's probably a better tap dancer than me in a lot of aspects and ways, right? So we vibed on that level. We vibed on the ability that we're both dance teachers, that how we give ourselves to, people older than us and younger than us that just want the knowledge that we have been lucky enough and blessed with to who've achieved acquire in our lifetimes. And to some people, that's very, very, very expensive, valuable information. And I certainly don't want to hold it hostage. And that's how I started feeling about anything I could offer to myself or others. And I think she feels similar. And having that kind of viewpoint on life kind of, I guess, puts us in a similar frame of mind sometimes.
So common experiences, common interest. Can I ask when you realized you were in love and wanted to be a couple, exclusive?
Look at the look on her face. I'm looking this at the monitor, just drinking in the look of her face right now. And I'm just going to see how she answers that.
I think I would say shortly, right around me moving to New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you decide to get married?
Thanksgiving 3 years ago.
Well, about 2.5
We got married in
years after
2019,
that. Yeah,
right?
so it was like
So it'd be
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Like maybe,
Or was it
maybe it was 2018. It was 2018.
2018.
Yeah. I think we decided on the way home, November
home.
2018, after Thanksgiving dinner with my family, on our way to go visit our friend Frank Persico, who is a brilliant singer. Shout out to Frank Persico, who is a brilliant Italian, half Jewish, folkish singer-songwriter on a guitar.
Wow.
The man is brilliant. And he went to the High School of Performing Arts in Manhattan, and he went to the,
he was playing at the casino.
He was playing at the casino, and we went to
night.
visit him afterwards to say hello. And we talked about it in the car. We were like, we spent all this time together. Obviously, you didn't go back to Kansas when you had to move out of your apartment in New York. We live together now. I mean, let's, do you want to get married? Let's get married. And that's kind of like the conversation we had.
Okay, so together, you decided together.
Yeah,
so let's talk about the book.
Okay.
Give us the name again.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah. It looks
Food.
like this.
Yeah, there it is. Hold it up. Food as a Prescription, a handbook for those currently on or prescribed a gluten-free, soy-free, corn-free, and/or dairy-free diet by
Yeah,
Anthony and Staci Lo Cascio. Go ahead.
And
yeah.
our doctor.
And our doctor did the forward for us.
Wonderful. And how's the book
So
doing? It's available on Amazon. How's it doing?
it's available on Amazon. We did reach bestseller status, but we haven't
Yay.
ended
Okay.
we haven't ended the first 4-month period since it's been released. So
Okay.
we don't get our numbers from our publisher until the end of the first 4 months.
Okay.
So in about a week or two, I'll be able to answer that
Yeah.
question a lot more thoroughly than I can today.
Okay.
But,
No, that's
I mean,
I think
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I think it's going pretty good. We some people present us with some copies to autograph for them this summer while we were on the road.
excellent. And where are you
Um,
going on the road
know,
this summer?
Well,
I mean, the summer is almost
Yeah.
over, but
No, we're back
Let's see.
now.
Can you do the
but
states? What
yes,
states
I
you
can.
got?
So Jersey, which was just a drive-through, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Kentucky,
Oh my gosh.
Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas,
wow.
Mexico, Arizona, California,
Kansas.
Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Indiana,
Oh my gosh.
Ohio,
Wow.
Michigan.
Yeah.
All
was
over.
awesome.
Wow.
19.
Oh my gosh. And you've got a new book coming out soon. All We Do Is Delicious, a cookbook for those who are gluten-free, soy-free, corn-free, and sometimes dairy-free. Tell
That's
us
right.
about
Yeah.
that.
Well, like I said earlier, if it's not delicious, it's not going to fly. And it all
Okay.
like this kind of diet already has people feeling like
Stigma.
the stigma of it's not going to be. What do you eat? Air? You hear that kind of thing all the time. So
I'm
we want
sure. Yeah.
to put out. People find our food delicious. We hear it all
Yeah.
the time. So we're like, all right, we need to put these recipes in a collection in a book so that other people who have to eat this way don't have to do all the testing that we did. All the, it's expensive to craft good tasting recipes,
I'm
especially if
sure.
you're dealing
Yeah.
with
Trial
all
and error. Yeah.
all new ingredients and materials you haven't worked with your whole life. So instead of letting people do that, that's when I talk about those failures.
Mhm.
You had read that quote a little bit earlier. When you know
Right.
that's it. I've had cakes. I've had cakes that I worked like a week on, working on the recipe, and then I do the whole thing, and I take it out of the oven, and I flip it over, and it would fall apart, and it was like, ah,
But did you give yourself grace? And did you have hope to do it again? And trying again means eventually we
Eventually.
get there.
yeah,
Right?
eventually, right?
Eventually.
yeah. So
So
yeah,
you-
absolutely.
Hey, so if there's a message to give to the audience with regards to whatever discipline or whatever you do, if you're looking for a better, healthy lifestyle that is enjoyable from a food standpoint, what would that message be?
Be
Be
your
an
own advocate.
Be your own advocate.
Love it. Be your
You
own
have to
advocate.
take the time to find the doctor that is right for you and that you relate to. You have to take the
Okay.
time
Foods.
to work through the different foods. You have to, be your own advocate. If some people won't
yeah.
believe you, we've had family members, not us personally, but we've heard stories of people having family members not believing them and slipping gluten into their food
Oh, wow.
to prove
Wow.
that it's in their head. So you have to be your own advocate. If you know that something doesn't make you feel well, just eliminate it. Just take it out. You gotta purge it. It's done. It's got to come out. But if you be your own advocate, you will find a way.
And that includes, we talk about like going out to restaurants, and if you don't feel safe,
Yeah, get up and leave.
don't eat there. Don't
Not
put
mean
your
like
health
I'm
at
getting
risk.
up to start me up. If you don't
Just
feel like,
don't put your health at risk.
yeah,
you
don't
know?
put your health at risk. It's okay because we feel bad if we sat down and we already started a process, right? But sometimes she felt bad once. I was like, Stace, we're not being mean. We have to get up and leave because we don't feel safe right now. And the last thing we want to do is put our health at risk because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings.
And that's a good point. And do you notice that most restaurants today have a higher level of awareness with allergies, gluten intolerance, dairy sensitivity and
They
intolerance.
do.
It's gotten better, but you
Yeah.
have to realize what kind of restaurant you're going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could go to McDonald's and try to get gluten-free food, but you still might not have a good experience. Or
Okay.
you could start going, hey, maybe I don't eat out as often, but if I go, I'm going to go to a farm-to-table restaurant, because farm-to-table restaurants really know, their servers know what's in the food. They know where their food is coming from. Sometimes they even know what their, proteins were fed. So just you're going to have to think a little bit, and we give you tips in the book, like how to go out to eat, what questions to ask, get somebody's name, walk
All
in, be
kinds of
friendly.
products,
Don't
too.
call when places are busy, because it's very difficult for them at that time. Even if they want to help you, they're very busy. All these things matter. And when you know how to approach it, you have a much better experience. When you have a better experience, then you have a better relationship with, taking care of yourself.
And like you said, being an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Being accountable for what is your health
Yeah.
and your lifestyle. So
Absolutely.
let's talk about moving forward. What you're looking at the new book, but let's go ahead, if you don't mind saying the titles again, where people can get a hold of you, your website. Go ahead.
Well, the book that's out now is Food as a Prescription. You could go to foodasaprescription.com to see our website, or LOCA Foods Inc., which is our umbrella company.
And it does link you to buying the book from our website if you want.
It's available on Barnes and Noble. It's an ebook, so all of those things are right there. The book coming up next that we're working on now is called All We Do Is Delicious. We've actually spent a lot more time. When you asked about the response earlier, we've spent a lot more time with this book than we thought we were going to, and we're loving it. So we're slowly rolling out All We Do Is Delicious. I'm in the process now. I have all the recipes. Now I'm going to write a little story about each recipe, and then we'll move to the next step. But ultimately, we have another year and a half of teaching dance, and then we'd really like to look into opening up our own 100% gluten-free bakery.
How wonderful!
Soy-free and corn-free, and
in New York,
providing that service. No, listen, I love New York. My heart I'll always have a place here, but we'd really like to go to a place maybe like Florida, like Sarasota, serve that community, and then eventually build out like we'd have like a little kitchen there so that we could make our rubs and other products, so that other people who eat like this find good, high quality products on the shelf, or and on Amazon.com, when they want to buy their own pre-made gluten-free, soy-free, corn-free, and sometimes dairy-free products.
That's wonderful. And so the website, again, Facebook, email.
The website is foodasaprescription.com.
Yeah.
Talk about the
Facebook, we're both Food as a Prescription and LOCA Foods Inc. Instagram is LOCA Foods Inc. Twitter is also LOCA Foods Inc. We kind of, when we were starting our social media, we kind of went with the parent company, so that once we had a whole bunch of different things, we didn't have 20 million different social medias.
And a side note, a lot of people know us as tap dancers. If you want to check us, if you don't know us as tap dancers and you'd like to learn more about it, you can check us out on YouTube. Just look up Sounds of a Tap Life. It's
Sounds
one of the
of a
shows.
Tap Life.
Yeah, Sounds of a Tap Life. It's a show that Staci and I produced.
Wow.
You can find us there at taplifecompany.com.
Yeah.
Taplifecompany.com. Taplifecompany.com.
That's it.
Anthony Staci, I want to thank you so much for being on Inside America's Minds.
Thank you for
having us.
Absolutely.
And
Look
for providing this.
seeing you.
It's awesome that you provide this kind of platform to have conversations like this, that people could discover and learn about themselves, and it gives them a way to. So thank you so much for doing it.
It truly is a privilege for me. And I look forward to seeing what you're doing in the future. Yeah. So thank you so much, and take care of each other. You're a great couple.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.